In the dark domain of chaos, Lin Feng could not escape even if he wanted to, because he could not warp space at all. He could only watch as the greater devil pounced over. The greater devil had his eyes on Lin Feng. No matter how Lin Feng fled, he definitely would not let Lin Feng off. Hence, he could only fight head-on. Without the enhancement of the abyss, a greater devil was at most equivalent to half a chaotic hallowed beast. Fight! Lin Feng's spirit flame hallowed body emitted raging flames. The power of a hallowed body cultivated from 66 chaotic spirit flames had almost reached its limit. Boom! The greater devil did not even use any spells. He simply crushed down with his diabolic body. Crack! An unparalleled force acted on Lin Feng's body, and he was sent flying. Even a crack appeared on the spirit flame hallowed body. In just one round, Lin Feng could no longer hold out. The spirit flame hallowed body that could kill gods had actually failed to hold out. If even a greater devil was this powerful, what could a stronger chaotic hallowed beast do? It seemed like it was not an exaggeration that only hallowed spirits could deal with chaotic hallowed beasts in the chaos, but an ironclad rule. Ha! Hallowed Venerable Styx, who was originally prepared to attack, also stopped slightly when he saw that Lin Feng could actually resist a strike from the greater devil. After that strike, not only did Lin Feng not escape, his battle intent grew even stronger. Could Lin Feng have another trump card? Does he plan on using his Prime Realm Divine ability? Hallowed Venerable Styx vaguely felt that Lin Feng was still a little overconfident. So what if he had the Prime Realm Divine ability? Although the 3,000 chaotic principles had integrated into one, it had not undergone metamorphosis. It was still only a greater divine ability. How could one contend with the greater devil with a greater divine ability? The greater devil's huge wings flapped, and immediately transformed into a stream of light that swept over like a howling wind. The wind he brought about was earth-shattering, and even greater divine ability appeared inferior before it. Styx! Hallowed Venerable Prima Mobile was a little worried. Why wasn't Hallowed Venerable Styx attacking yet? There's no hurry. This lad won't die so easily. He can withstand a single strike. If he can't, it won't be too late to save him. He has a secret. A strange look flashed across Hallowed Venerable Styx's eyes. Hallowed Venerable Prima Mobile was slightly stunned, then nodded thoughtfully. The two of them were Hallowed Venerables who had remained conscious. The other Hallowed Venerables were all slumbering. They even paid some attention to Lin Feng. After cultivating in the chaos for 1,000 years, he had already become a top-notch perfected deity. Forget about everything else, just comprehending the chaotic rules was extremely difficult. However, to Lin Feng it did not seem to be difficult at all. The two of them were both chaotic hallowed venerables who had cultivated for billions of years. How could they not see that Lin Feng had some secrets? It was just that, as dignified hallowed venerables, delving into it was beneath them. But now, against the greater devil and a life-or-death moment, what other trump card did Lin Feng have? Hallowed Venerable Styx wanted to know, and so did Hallowed Venerable Prima Mobile. Moreover, Hallowed Venerable Styx was already prepared. As a Hallowed Venerable, saving Lin Feng was not a problem at all, even if the enemy was a greater devil. Hence, he was also willing to wait. At this moment, however, Lin Feng erupted completely. He did not know that Hallowed Venerable Styx would save him. Moreover, even if he knew, he would not care. He would only trust himself, trust his own strength, and rely on himself. Hence, at this moment, Lin Feng no longer hesitated. In a life-or-death situation, he could only rely on himself. Prime Realm! Lin Feng shouted in a low voice. At this moment, Lin Feng no longer held back. He used the Prime Realm, and it was the true Prime Realm. Boom! Even in the dark domain of chaos, even though they could barely sense the chaotic rules at this moment, everyone seemed to feel a rumble in their minds. The daunting 3,000 principles of chaos seemed to have expanded into the dark domain of chaos at once. Countless chaotic principles wreaked havoc in the dark domain. Lin Feng's Prime Realm expanded rapidly like a huge sphere, enveloping everything. Everything that was enveloped was reduced to dust. Be it the abyssal monsters, abyssal devils, superior devils, or inferior devils, they were all reduced to dust. This This is a greater divine ability. The Prime Realm, a greater divine ability? No, this is no longer the fluctuation of a greater divine ability. This far exceeds greater divine abilities. This is an ultimate divine ability. An ultimate divine ability? Impossible. How can the ultimate divine ability exist in the chaos? It's not like we haven't seen the Prime Realm how Lin Feng became a perfected deity and condensed a divine ability. How can it be an ultimate divine ability? When Lin Feng used the Prime Realm, the commotion was simply too great. The entire chaos rumbled. Even in the dark domain of chaos, the 3,000 chaotic principles seemed to become incomparably clear at this moment. Moreover, that sphere of light seemed to be able to envelop and shatter everything. Even top-notch perfected deities and chaotic hallowed beasts felt a trace of fear. The ultimate divine ability. This must be an ultimate divine ability. There was no other explanation. A trace of surprise appeared in hallowed Venerable Styx's eyes. His entire body was even trembling with excitement. The ultimate divine ability. This is a true ultimate divine ability. We were all deceived by him regarding the 3,000 principles of chaos. His Prime Realm isn't based on the 3,000 principles of chaos, but a universe within. It's based on an entire world. Could he have obtained the legendary world Lotus Seed? Or a top-notch chaotic spirit treasure that contains a world? Even so, he could use the power of an entire world to communicate, and use the divine ability as the foundation to communicate with the world. On this basis, he created the ultimate divine ability from it. Impressive, truly impressive. Even the chaotic hallowed venerables were excited. The ultimate divine ability. This was something that hallowed Venerable Styx could not deduce even after countless years of deduction. He did not expect that someone could really condense the ultimate divine ability. Although not everyone knew this method, the ultimate divine ability was extremely rare to begin with. How could just anyone do it? Not only were the 3,000 principles rumbling, there was even a trace of jubilation among the 3,000 principles, as if they were guarding an emperor, the emperor of principles and the king of chaotic rules. In the beginning, this trace of aura was not obvious, but as Lin Feng's Prime Realm enveloped the Greater Devil at once, the Greater Devil's body failed to hold out before the Prime Realm. After all, that was power with an entire universe as the foundation. How could a Greater Devil contend against it? Even a chaotic hallowed beast could not withstand it. However, as the Prime Realm was used, Lin Feng's internal universe was inevitably exposed to everyone. No one would guess that Lin Feng had cultivated a universe himself. They would all guess that it was a world Lotus Seed, or a top-notch chaotic spirit treasure. It was just that Lin Feng could communicate with the world. This was not unprecedented. The perfected lords might not be able to sense the trace of aura emitted by Lin Feng's internal universe. However, the supreme perfected deities who had completely comprehended the chaotic rules could acutely sense an unusual fluctuation. This fluctuation contains the supreme rule. That's right, it's this fluctuation. It's a fluctuation of the supreme rule. Moreover, it's different from any fluctuation of the supreme rules of the seven hallowed venerables. This is a new fluctuation of the supreme rule. A new supreme rule. So, it's the legendary chaotic origin stone. The chaotic origin stone has appeared. It's in perfected deity Lin Feng's possession. As expected, he indeed has a huge secret. A huge secret? The chaotic origin stone. For a moment, the entire battlefield seemed to have fallen strangely silent. Countless perfected deities, and even chaotic hallowed venerables, stared intently at Lin Feng with fervent gazes. The chaotic origin stone was a supreme treasure that could drive any perfected deity insane. It was the pass to the supreme throne of the chaos, and the only hope for one to become a chaotic hallowed venerable. Now it had appeared without any warning. Chaotic origin stone. Hallowed Venerable Styx opened his mouth, but in the end, he heaved a long sigh. This Lin Feng really hid his strength well. Originally, we thought that he only had some special opportunities, but we never thought of the chaotic origin stone. After all, the chaotic origin stone has not appeared for a long, long time. Hallowed Venerable Prima Mobile also shook his head helplessly. The chaotic origin stone had appeared, but it just happened to be during a troubled period. Now was a critical point when life forms from another world were invading. No matter how one looked at it, it was a little inconvenient. Ha ha ha, Prima Mobile, sticks. While the two of you were conscious, you didn't realize that the chaotic origin stone had appeared? You can't blame us for this. The appearance of the chaotic origin stone is destined to cause a bloodbath, but it's actually a good thing for the entire chaos. It's also a good thing for us, Hallowed Venerable Luster said with a smile. The other chaotic Hallowed Venerables also nodded. This was indeed a good thing because the appearance of the chaotic origin stone meant that an eighth chaotic Hallowed Venerable was about to be born. Perhaps this was intentional on the chaotic will's part. In fact, if the chaos was in danger, the ninth chaotic origin stone would definitely appear soon, and a ninth chaotic Hallowed Venerable would be born. According to the unseen operation of chaotic rules, the birth of every Hallowed Venerable was actually destined. Only the Hallowed Venerables, who had true perfected spirits in the chaos and understood a little about the providence, knew this. They were also very helpless. However, even the Hallowed Venerables were also hoping that these destined Hallowed Venerables would be their disciples or family and friends. According to the agreement, when the chaotic origin stone appears, Hallowed Venerables like us are not allowed to attack. That's right, we can't attack. This is the natural operation of the chaos. Since he's the eighth Hallowed Venerable, he's destined to experience hardships and fight his way through bloody battles before he can achieve the position he's destined for. Otherwise, how can he be worthy of the position of Hallowed Venerable? The Hallowed Venerables are undying and indestructible and enjoy billions of providence. How can they be ordinary? We can send disciples and inform our family and friends, but we absolutely can't attack personally. The chaotic Hallowed Venerables were also very thrilled. The appearance of the chaotic origin stone meant that a comrade would appear among them soon. This was already a good thing for the 7 great and powerful chaotic Hallowed Venerables, who were rather lonely. Hallowed Venerables, I think you can forget about it. Could it be a coincidence that the chaotic origin stone can appear in Lin Feng's possession? It's probably fate. Look, even the greater devil was reduced to ashes by Lin Feng's ultimate divine ability. Even if the chaotic origin stone is in his possession, apart from us chaotic Hallowed Venerables personally taking action, who else can seize the chaotic origin stone from him? Hallowed Venerable Styx suddenly smiled. He seemed to see the figure of his favorite disciple, perfected deity Easterly, in Lin Feng. They had the same talent, the same pride, and even the same confidence. He had a vague feeling that Lin Feng was probably not afraid of exposing the chaotic origin stone at all now. There was even a hint of deliberateness to it. In the current situation, even if the chaotic origin stone appeared, the chaotic Hallowed Venerables were not allowed to fight for it privately. The news spread throughout the entire universe at once. If Lin Feng could withstand the reaction after this war, he would have nothing to worry about, and would no longer have to deal with endless schemes. Hearing Hallowed Venerable Styx's words, many Hallowed Venerables looked at Lin Feng again. As expected, wherever the Prime Realm passed, everything was reduced to ashes. Even that greater devil was reduced to ashes before he could even let out a scream. Many chaotic Hallowed Venerables' hearts skipped a beat. They had seen many greater divine abilities, but the ultimate divine ability was a legendary divine ability. None of them had seen it before, so they naturally did not know how terrifying its power was. Hallowed Venerable Luster also said self-deprecatingly, if an ordinary perfected deity or even a top-notch perfected deity obtained the chaotic origin stone, they would definitely cause a bloodbath or even more than tens of thousands of years. However, Lin Feng is now above top-notch perfected deities and a hallowed spirit. Even if there are still some twists and turns in this chaotic origin stone, they will probably be minor. Could this be the will of the heavens? Is he the 8th Hallowed Venerable? It's hard to say if he's the 8th Hallowed Venerable. Everything is predestined. It's fine as long as we don't interfere and wait and see. However, now that life forms from another world are invading, we have to stop them. Pass down the order. During the war, no one is to act rashly. Otherwise, the Hallowed Venerables will personally take action, I suspect that the king of deception is about to lose his patience. The 7 hallowed venerables discussed and reached a consensus, so they immediately gave the order. All the perfected lords heard the voice of the hallowed venerables. During war, they were not to act rashly, and only obey military orders. The voice transmissions of the hallowed venerables also sounded in Lin Feng's ears. He was relieved. Actually, Lin Feng had already vaguely guessed it when he decided to expose the chaotic origin stone. Through the Mutual Assistance Alliance, Lin Feng had long learned some of the rules for the appearance of the chaotic origin stone. Back when the 5th, 6th, and 7th chaotic origin stones appeared, the other 4 hallowed venerables did not interfere. Clearly, there was an agreement between the hallowed venerables. Otherwise, if a hallowed venerable interfered, how could anyone else obtain the chaotic origin stone? At most, they would just send some disciples to compete. Later, these chaotic origin stones were passed through different owners. They eventually wound up in the possession of the hallowed venerables now, and allowed them to become chaotic hallowed venerables. Naturally, as agreed back then, the hallowed venerables would not interfere. Since the hallowed venerables would not interfere with Lin Feng's current strength, what was there to be afraid of? Hence, so what if the chaotic origin stone was exposed? Moreover, this was a war. Before dealing with the abyssal devils, the 7 hallowed venerables would definitely not want any trouble in the chaos. This gave Lin Feng a chance. At the very least, his internal universe could be greatly enhanced again. Many perfected deities received the voice transmissions of the chaotic hallowed venerables. They naturally understood what was going on, but they still could not suppress their excitement. That was the chaotic origin stone. Once one obtained it, they might be able to ascend to the top in a single step and become a hallowed venerable, undying, and indestructible. Be it ordinary or top-notch perfected deities, neither could resist such a temptation. Even the chaotic hallowed beast had some vague ideas. Unfortunately, back then, the chaotic hallowed venerables had warned the chaotic hallowed beast that while chaotic divine beasts could participate in the competition for the chaotic origin stone, chaotic hallowed beasts could not. Although the chaotic divine beasts and chaotic hallowed beasts could not comprehend the supreme rule, they were still unwilling to accept it. Even if they could not comprehend the supreme rule, studying it might allow them to analyze the mysteries of the hallowed venerables. Hence, the hearts of the crowd were in turmoil. Many looked at Lin Feng with dread. Only a minority remained rational. Lin Feng has obtained the chaotic origin stone? Haha. A good thing, a wonderful thing. So what if you have the ultimate divine ability? So what if you can resist the chaotic hallowed beast? No one can resist the temptation of the chaotic origin stone. You will only encounter wave after wave of various attacks and assassinations. One day you will die, and you will not be able to keep the chaotic origin stone. Haha. Then I will be free. Perfected deity Infinity was overjoyed. Originally, he was already in despair. Lin Feng had actually mastered an ultimate divine ability. He was simply a legend in the chaos. However, of all things, Lin Feng had obtained the chaotic origin stone, and it had been exposed. A man's wealth would lead to his own ruin. Possessing the chaotic origin stone was the greatest original sin to begin with. Perfected deity Infinity was even looking forward to the scene of Lin Feng being surrounded and attacked by countless perfected deities after this war. He did not have that much unrealistic hope of obtaining the chaotic origin stone. He only hoped that once Lin Feng died, he would no longer be threatened by anyone, and could regain his freedom. No matter how the others thought, from the moment Lin Feng used the true Prime Realm divine ability, he already knew that the chaotic origin stone would be exposed. But so what if it was exposed? At this moment, his Prime Realm divine ability instantly crushed the devil before him into dust. With a sweep of the cosmic power, the diabolic pneuma was swept into the internal universe. The reincarnation realm quickly erased the abyssal imprint on the greater devil's pneuma. The greater devil's abyssal imprint was far stronger than that of a superior devil. It expanded, stabilized, and reinforced Lin Feng's reincarnation realm, allowing it to become countless times stronger. Boom! The internal universe also expanded further. The amount of energy contained in a greater devil was 10 or 100 times that of a superior devil, and was unimaginable. Good, good, good. A smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. Even if he had to take the risk of exposing the chaotic origin stone, he had to kill the greater devil completely. It was not just to save his life. More importantly, such an opportunity could only be chanced upon by luck. Greater devil. Lin Feng's gaze was intense as he stared at the remaining 13 greater devils. In his eyes, these greater devils were all his food and energy. If he missed this opportunity, there would be no next time. Hence, he quickly pounced towards another greater devil. With a simple envelopment of the prime realm divine ability, he easily crushed it. Only Lin Feng himself knew that his prime realm divine ability was not as simple as an ultimate divine ability, but far exceeded it. If there had to be a name, it would be a completely different realm above the ultimate divine ability. Regardless of whether it was a greater devil or a chaotic hallowed beast, none of them could withstand a single strike from the prime realm divine ability. This was because it was an attack that erupted with the entire internal universe as the foundation. It was Lin Feng's strongest strike at the moment. The two diabolic pneumas brought earth-shattering changes to Lin Feng's internal universe. He no longer knew how far his internal universe had expanded. He could only feel infinite power surging into his body continuously. It seemed omnipotent and indestructible. The remaining 12 greater devils were all held back by those chaotic hallowed beasts. Lin Feng had no intention of watching and pounced forward instantly. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the blink of an eye, 4 more greater devils were crushed into dust by Lin Feng. A total of 6 greater devils died at Lin Feng's hands. Lin Feng also firmly occupied the first place on the merit rankings. It was impossible for him to fall off that place anymore. Just the merit value of 1 greater devil was comparable to the merit value of 100 superior devils. How could those perfected deities ranked second and third on the merit rankings catch up? The ultimate divine ability. So that is the ultimate divine ability. This is too terrifying. Perfected deity Lin Feng is invincible. He was the invincible perfected lord previously. I think he's an invincible perfected deity now. He's the invincible perfected deity among cultivators like us. He's not just a perfected deity. The current Lin Feng should be a hallowed spirit. He should be the invincible hallowed spirit. Seeing Lin Feng display his prowess now, as if he was invincible among the abyssal devils, almost invincible and unparalleled, even those chaotic hallowed beasts fell silent. Lin Feng's prime realm divine ability did not affect those chaotic hallowed beasts. It only enveloped those greater devils. However, the greater devils that could still fight with the chaotic hallowed beasts previously were instantly crushed into dust. How could these chaotic hallowed beasts not be shocked? If Lin Feng's divine ability could crush greater devils into dust in an instant, it could also crush chaotic hallowed beasts like them into dust. Could the ultimate divine ability really be that terrifying? For a moment, even the arrogant chaotic hallowed beasts were bewildered. A total of 6 greater devils were crushed into dust by Lin Feng, and all of them were killed and transformed into the energy of his internal universe. A storm brewed in his internal universe, and a mighty tide surged continuously. There was no knowing how far it had expanded. The abyssal devil army had already been repelled. Countless devils began to flee backward. At this point in the war, the outcome had already been determined. The 7 hallowed venerables waited quietly. They knew that the king of deception, Andre, would either destroy everything indiscriminately, or lead many abyssal devils to escape to the dark domain of chaos from now on, and never come to the chaos again. Great king of the abyss, we have lost. There were not many devils left. Even the greater devil did not dare to approach them anymore. Andre looked at Lin Feng, a strange glint flickering in his eyes. He had failed on the verge of success. It was really a failure on the verge of success. If not for Lin Feng, his plan would have succeeded. When the 7 hallowed venerables personally attacked, he would be able to find out the details of the capability of the 7 hallowed venerables. However, now was not the time to admit defeat. This was because the king of abyss, the king of deception, Andre, had yet to attack. Whether we succeed or lose, we have to give it a try. We can't return to the abyss and we can't enter this dark domain anymore. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to ever find another complete world. Don't act rashly. Actually, whether we succeed or lose, we'll definitely enter this chaos. However, it'll naturally be best if we succeed. If we fail, Andre did not continue. Instead, he took a step forward. Buzz. All the abyssal devils' hearts palpitated. The great king of abyss and the king of deception, Andre, had finally attacked. In the past, once Andre attacked in the abyss, it would definitely cause a bloodbath. Be it the nirvana, the netherworld, or the abyss, there would be no peace. And now Andre had finally attacked again. The infinite dark domain was originally filled with noises. The next moment, it seemed to have calmed all of a sudden, so much so that one could hear a pin drop. A wind had actually risen in the vast dark domain. Swoosh! It was only a breeze, but when the breeze touched one's face, there was no warmth at all. Instead, it was bone-piercingly cold and vaguely corrosive. This is? Everyone's eyes widened. What did they see? In the pitch-black dark domain, one head, two heads. Then three heads appeared. Every head emitted a scarlet light. From 360 degrees all around it, every side wore the same expression. Be it the life forms in the abyss or the chaos, be it devils or perfected deities, they all felt their hearts palpitate at this moment, as if they wanted to kneel and prostrate themselves in front of this huge, dark deity with 3 heads and 6 arms. It was like a deity walking out of the darkness, filled with boundless might and various terrifying and oppressive auras. Even the aura of a perfected deity was completely suppressed, as if they were facing their natural enemy. Only Lin Feng could still act freely by relying on his internal universe. However, the spirit flame-hallowed body was already firmly suppressed, and on the verge of collapse. King of Abyss Andre. Lin Feng enunciated each word clearly. He knew that only the King of Abyss, Andre, could possess such terrifying power. Andre's body was incomparably huge, even larger than Lin Feng's 500,000 feet tall spirit flame-hallowed body. He was like a child favored by the darkness as he appeared in the dark domain, terrifying, majestic, and mysterious. Even Lin Feng could sense a terrifying pressure. Abyss King Andre was not the King of Abyss who excelled at combat most in the Abyss. He had another title, and that was the King of Deception. He was famed for his scheming and cunningness. Lin Feng learned all of this from Laguerre. In fact, without the enhancement of the Abyss, logically speaking, the power of Abyss King Andre should be greatly reduced. Even so, the weakened Abyss King Andre still far exceeded the greater devils, and was above them. Lin Feng had a feeling that if he fought the King of Abyss by force with his current strength, the outcome would probably be very dismal. I am the King of Abyss, the King of Deception, Andre. I led all the life forms of the Abyss here from afar just to find a place to live. The chaos is so huge. There must be some place for us to live. Abyss King Andre did not even look at Lin Feng. His 3 heads and 3 mouths shouted at the same time. Everyone on the battlefield's ears were buzzing. Although their languages were different, they could understand what the King of Abyss meant. Abyss King Andre, although there is room in the chaos, it is not a place for you alien lifeforms to live. You should go back to where you came from. Chaos is not where you belong. Hallowed Venerable Prima Mobile also took a step forward. At the same time, the 6 Hallowed Venerables also took a step forward and surrounded the King of Abyss. Since the King of Abyss had taken the initiative to appear, how could the 7 Hallowed Venerables hold back? Being so close to the chaos, the 7 Hallowed Venerables could still sense the power of the chaos. It was the most advantageous to the Hallowed Venerables. Hence, they were not afraid of any schemes. Their auras locked onto him, and the supreme rules began to envelop him. The 7 supreme rules were like shackles, locking onto Abyss King Andre with clacks. Even Lin Feng had to retreat from such a great battle. The abyssal diabolic flames burned fiercely all over Andre's body, but could not burn down the supreme rules of the chaotic Hallowed Venerables. The diabolic flames actually contained a trace of the will of the Abyss. Originally, the King of Abyss was one of the manifestations of the Abyss. Although the Abyss was destroyed, its will was not. Even the slightest trace of will could allow the abyss to be reborn through another form. Unfortunately, such a small amount of will could not do anything before the massive chaotic supreme rules. The two parties did not fight, but in reality the fight had already ended. The competition between the rulers of worlds was a competition of the wills of the worlds. As for the energy of the world, the abyss had already been destroyed. Every time Andre used his power, it would be depleted, while the power of chaos was infinite. The difference was obvious. We lost? Andre's expression was a little dark, but a loss was a loss. Although he was the king of deception and had endless schemes, he also knew that strength was the most important thing. Hence, the first king of Abyss would never be him, Andre. Aren't you going to retreat? Hallowed venerable sticks berated sternly. Unless absolutely necessary, they did not want to fight Abyss King Andre. Even though the 7 of them could suppress Andre, Andre was the ruler of a world after all. Once he unleashed his full strength, he might even be able to break the chaos. If they could make King Andre of Abyss recognize the reality and take the initiative to leave, it would be best. Leave? In the vast dark domain, many life forms of our abyss have already wandered the dark domain for tens of thousands of years. Apart from the chaos, we haven't found a single world. Once we leave, when will we be able to find another world? Abyss King Andre calmed down instead. A cunning smile appeared on his lips. Huh? You want to stay and fight to the death? But even if you die, chaos will at most suffer some damage, and it won't take long for it to recover. As the ruler of a world, it's impossible for you not to know this, Andre. Hallowed Venerable Styx said coldly. Of course. Without the abyss, all the life forms of the abyss are rootless. Their strength will be greatly reduced, and they are not a match for your chaos at all. However, no matter how strong your chaos is, it is at most comparable to our abyss. How are you compared to the celestial devils? Back then, when our abyss, nirvana, and netherworld joined forces, there were a total of 15 world rulers, yet our worlds were still destroyed by the celestial devils. Those celestial devils are unimaginably powerful. They are locusts that occupy one world after another and constantly invade. We abyssal lifeforms thought that we are already proficient in war, but compared to celestial devils, we are simply like children in a kindergarten. Celestial devils are the true enemies of all the worlds in the dark domain. Do you understand? Hearing the Abyss King's words, the chaotic hallowed venerables had some doubts, but they did not know the true goal of the Abyss King. The celestial devils may be very strong, but what does that have to do with us? That's right. Just because your abyss was destroyed doesn't mean that our chaos will be destroyed. The celestial devils are so far from the chaos. The vast dark domain is infinite. How can the celestial devils find our chaos? The chaotic hallowed venerables shook their heads. That's right. The celestial devils are so far away, and the dark domain is so vast. How can they find the chaos? The celestial devils can't find it, but we have found the chaos. Once we send the coordinates of chaos in the dark domain to the celestial devils, will your chaos still be safe? Andre was indeed worthy of being the king of deception. This was simply pulling out the rug from underneath, and he had targeted what would threaten the survival of chaos. How is this possible? The dark domain is so vast. How can you pinpoint its location? That's right. The dark domain is infinite. How can you contact the celestial devils? It's just nonsense. Many chaotic hallowed venerables did not believe it. Andre continued. The dark domain is indeed very vast, but the celestial devils roam the dark domain and constantly search for various worlds to hunt and devour. No matter how far they are, they can sense it. You will never understand how frightening the celestial devils are. Moreover, when our abyss fought with the celestial devils back then, we also captured some celestial devils and learned the method of communication between them. Hence, as long as we want to contact them, we will definitely be able to. Celestial devils are like locusts. Once chaos is discovered, your chaos will be finished. As for whether you believe me or not, you can attack now and kill all these lifeforms from the abyss to see if the celestial devils will come. Let's see if you dare to make the gamble. The chaotic hallowed venerables' expressions were dark. Even Lin Feng, who was at the side, frowned when he heard this. There was no solution. There was no solution at all. This was not a trick, but an open scheme. Would the chaotic hallowed venerables dare to gamble on it? Even if Andre was lying, after all, Andre was the master of fraud, would the chaotic hallowed venerables dare to gamble on it? The celestial devils could even conquer the abyss, the nirvana, and the netherworld. The 15 world rulers were all dead or injured, leaving only the king of deception, Andre. This was enough to show how terrifying those celestial devils were. If Andre could really contact those celestial devils, would there ever be peace in the chaos? At this thought, everyone fell silent. Bang, bang, bang. A sharp glint flashed across hallowed venerable Styx's eyes. Wherever the supreme rule enveloped, countless devils, be they superior devils or inferior devils, were all reduced to dust. Even their pneumas were no exception and fell completely. In the blink of an eye, the devils suffered heavy losses, but none of them were enraged. Everyone knew that this was the most critical moment. Soul Search, hallowed venerable Prima Mobile, had also captured many abyssal devils and browsed through their memories one by one. Seeing the terrifying capabilities of those celestial devils, even the chaotic hallowed venerables were trembling. What Andre said was the truth. At least for now, it was the truth. As for whether Andre had a way to contact the celestial devils, the chaotic hallowed venerables did not know either. It would be a piece of cake for them to kill Andre at this moment. With the 7 hallowed venerables joining forces, the king of deception, who had lost the abyss, was naturally not a match for the hallowed venerables. However, under such circumstances, did they dare to gamble? They did not dare. Without a doubt, the hallowed venerables did not dare. No hallowed venerable could afford such consequences. King of deception, you are indeed worthy of being the most cunning and sinister king of deception in the abyss. So many powerful world rulers in the nirvana, netherworld, and the abyss were killed by the celestial devils, but you were the only one who survived. Tell me, king of deception, what are your conditions? The expressions of the abyssal lifeforms were dark. The hallowed venerables did not dare to gamble. So what if they took out their anger on those abyssal devils? Once they really attacked, Andre would contact those celestial devils, and the chaos would be reduced to ashes. No one could afford such a sin. A victorious smile appeared on the lips of the king of deception. He said indifferently, "My conditions are very simple. All the abyssal lifeforms I bring must enter the chaos. You just need to give us a place to live. We will live and cultivate along with ordinary chaotic lifeforms. No war is to be initiated lightly, and our abyssal devils or abyssal monsters are not to be killed without a reason. Humph, so unwelcome guests have made themselves at home and turned the tables on us. As expected of the king of deception, Andre. What could the chaotic hallowed venerables do? Even if they could kill Andre, they had reservations and did not dare to attack. Andre proposed conditions without reservations. The chaotic hallowed venerables naturally would not agree to all of them. However, this was a trivial matter for the subsequent negotiations between the two parties. The general direction had undoubtedly been decided. In terms of the chaos, the losses were not very severe. On the battlefield, the chaos had won, but in the end, the chaos had lost. The abyssal devils entering the chaos were already unstoppable. After intense negotiations, the abyss and chaos came to an agreement. The abyssal devils would build a chaotic city, and both parties were not to initiate wars on a large scale. The king of deception, Andre, and the chaotic hallowed venerables were not to interfere in any disputes. The rest would go by the laws of chaos. The devils were elated, but chaos was very reluctant to accept it. However, at the thought that they could exchange contribution points for a great amount of treasures, the last bit of discontent in the hearts of many cultivators dissipated. Moreover, everyone knew that the chaotic hallowed venerables were in a difficult position. The other party had something on chaos that could cause them to perish together. Chaos could only relent. Moreover, the chaos was so huge. Even if a part of it was left for the abyssal lifeforms, it would not actually affect them much. After the war ended, the cultivators all returned to the holy city of chaos. They went to the treasure vault of the Holy City to exchange contribution points for the treasures they needed. After the war ended, Lin Feng warped space immediately and returned to the Holy City Prima Mobile. As they headed for the Holy City's treasure vault, everyone's gaze subconsciously landed on him. Lin Feng naturally knew the reason. With the chaotic origin stone on him, he was like a walking treasure trove now. Anyone would want to pounce on it. However, they were deterred by the authority of the chaotic hallowed venerables. Fighting was forbidden in the Holy City, so they could only hold themselves back. Lin Feng did not encounter any trouble along the way. After entering the Holy City's treasure vault, Lin Feng glanced at the various treasures collected by these hallowed venerables. They were indeed very precious, and were even somewhat beneficial to top-notch perfected deities. However, they were not of much help to the current Lin Feng. Lin Feng did not think much of any of the treasures. At his current cultivation stage, what he needed was a large amount of energy, such as superior devils, and a large number of superior devils at that, or greater devils, or chaotic hallowed beasts. There were none of such things in these treasure vaults. Apart from that, Lin Feng was not interested in anything like chaotic spirit treasures. Hence, although Lin Feng had the first place on the merit rankings, he did not exchange for anything. Although Lin Feng was not interested in the resources and treasure vault of the Holy City, he still knew that he had a mutual assistance alliance under his command. He would not waste these contribution points so lightly. He did not need them, but the members of the Mutual Assistance Alliance did. He gathered perfected Lord Long, Yuan Jinggang, and the other core upper echelons of the Mutual Assistance Alliance to form a specific list of treasures to be exchanged for. Then, he exchanged them one by one according to these lists. Lin Feng's contribution points were probably higher than everyone else's combined. Hence, with this exchange, he had almost emptied out the Holy City Prima Mobile. He even went to other holy cities, where he could also exchange for all kinds of treasures and resources. Relying on the large amount of cultivation resources exchanged with these contribution points, the Mutual Assistance Alliance suddenly became one of the factions with the deepest foundation in the entire chaos. Apart from the holy cities of chaos, no faction could have the deep foundation of the current Mutual Assistance Alliance. For a moment, countless people flocked to the Mutual Assistance Alliance. Even perfected deities were willing to join. Lin Feng did not refuse anyone, but he knew that many of these perfected deities who were willing to join the Mutual Assistance Alliance probably had an ulterior motive. What they coveted was not the cultivation resources of the Mutual Assistance Alliance, but the chaotic origin stone on Lin Feng. During this period of time, Lin Feng also realized that although there were many people who joined his Mutual Assistance Alliance, there were also many who caused trouble. There were all kinds of trouble. There were even many powerful factions who had their eyes on Lin Feng from outside the Holy City Prima Mobile. The temptation of the chaotic origin stone was simply too great. Lin Feng had now exceeded top-notch perfected deities and become a hallowed spirit, the top individual below hallowed venerables. Even so, there were still people who would take the risk and people who were unwilling to accept it. Yuan Zhenggang could not help but remind Lin Feng, Alliance leader, there are all kinds of extraordinary people in the chaos. Every time the chaotic origin stone appears, it would cause violent turmoils and endless bloodshed. With the chaotic origin stone in your possession, it'd be best if you try not to leave the Holy City of Chaos. Just stay in the Holy City and focus on studying the chaotic origin stone to become a hallowed venerable as soon as you can. Then, no one will dare to covet you anymore, Alliance leader. Comprehend the chaotic origin stone in peace and become a hallowed venerable? Lin Feng shook his head. In the past, he might have done this. Being a coward had its advantages. There was no risk. However, ever since he chose his path, he had actually given up on becoming a chaotic hallowed venerable. He would never be able to become a chaotic hallowed venerable. The chaotic origin stone had no effect in his hands. However, just because it had no effect did not mean that Lin Feng did not need it. The chaotic origin stone is mine. I can give it to anyone I want. If I don't give it away, no one can take it. There are only a few inconsequential ruffians. There's no hurry. Just wait. When more of them arrive, I'll end it altogether. Otherwise, there'll be no end to it. Lin Feng muttered softly as he played with the chaotic origin stone that countless perfected deities would go insane over. Yuan Jinggang could clearly sense that Lin Feng's calm tone contained a chilling killing intent. This alliance leader was no longer the same as before. He was no longer the invincible perfected lord from back then, and was not even a perfected deity. He was the hallowed spirit, whose majesty shook the chaos. He was invincible among all below hallowed venerables. Far away from the holy city Prima Mobile, countless cultivators came and went. There were also innumerable spaceships and battleships. Everything seemed to be as usual. Swoosh! Suddenly, figures walked out of the void in the chaos. They were only faintly discernible, and even ordinary perfected lords could not see these figures. He still hasn't come out yet? What if he keeps hiding in there and never comes out? One of the perfected deity's expressions was dark. He appeared anxious. Humph, he still has the Inception continent. If there's really no other way, we'll threaten him with the Inception continent. I don't believe he won't come out then. If it were me, I wouldn't come out. The Inception continent, the subordinates and the faction are all inconsequential. Only my own attainment is the most important thing. But you're not him, and you'll never be him. Don't worry, he'll definitely come out. He's the only hallowed lord in the chaos. The hallowed lord was the title of respect for Lin Feng, the only hallowed spirit in the chaos at the moment. It meant that he was the only hallowed lord in the entire chaos in all of history, above billions, and second only to hallowed venerables. The one who spoke was an ancient perfected deity. He had cultivated for billions of years, and was even not inferior to the 7 hallowed venerables in terms of qualifications. His divine abilities were simply immeasurable, and he had even condensed several greater divine abilities. He was known as Ancestor Mani. Ancestor Mani was not in the holy city of chaos. His qualifications were even older than the 7 hallowed venerables. The 7 hallowed venerables were even his juniors. He was proud, so he naturally did not have the face to stay in the holy city of chaos. Moreover, the various cultivation resources in the holy city of chaos were useless to Ancestor Mani. He was slumbering in a remote stretch of chaotic void, and had been slumbering the entire time. He had not even received the divine battle order from the 7 hallowed venerables during the last battle with alien lifeforms. After all, the divine battle orders were only circulated in the holy cities of chaos and the surrounding regions. Naturally, cultivators in the depths of the chaos or in some remote places had not received them. However, this time, with the appearance of the chaotic origin stone, Ancestor Mani also woke up. I didn't manage to obtain the chaotic origin stone the previous few times. I can't lose the chaotic origin stone again this time. A trace of determination appeared in Ancestor Mani's eyes. It was the chaotic origin stone, the supreme treasure of chaos that he had always dreamed of obtaining. This was the true supreme treasure of chaos. It was worth it even at the risk of his life. Even though it was almost impossible for them to snatch the chaotic origin stone from a hallowed lord this time, Ancestor Mani and the others would not hesitate to risk their lives for this opportunity to attain consummation in cultivation. They had already lived for a long, long time. As long as they could attain consummation in cultivation, dying was nothing. Ancestor were not the only ones coveting the chaotic origin stone. Many other old fellows have also awakened. There are even some chaotic divine beasts. That's right, Ancestor. These fellows are all hiding in the dark and coveting the chaotic origin stone. Should we eliminate them first? It's not just the cultivators in our chaos. There are even those otherworldly lifeforms. I can already sense the aura of some devils. Those despicable devils invaded our chaos, and they still covet the supreme treasure of cultivation in our chaos. They deserve to die. These perfected deities were all top-notch perfected deities. They had been good friends with Ancestor Mani for billions of years. If not for the chaotic hallowed venerables and chaotic hallowed beasts, these few people alone could even dominate the chaos without any resistance. They had mastered countless arcane techniques and divine abilities. There's no need to care about all of them. Moreover, the more of them there are, the better. It's normal for those devils to covet the chaotic origin stone. If they want to gain a foothold in the chaos, just that threat alone is not enough. They naturally want to obtain the chaotic origin stone, comprehend the supreme rule within, and even become hallowed venerables, thereby becoming a part of the chaos. However, we're dealing with the hallowed lord, the invincible hallowed lord, who's only below the hallowed venerables and above billions. Everyone take your positions. This may be the hardest battle for the chaotic origin stone. The more helpers there are, the better. Only by taking advantage of the situation can we fish in troubled waters. Hearing that even Ancestor Mani needed to fish in troubled waters, the hearts of many top-notch perfected deities skipped a beat. That's right. Lin Feng was the hallowed lord. They had not participated in the war against invading lifeforms from another world, and did not know how terrifying Lin Feng was. However, from the rumors that Lin Feng had condensed the ultimate divine ability, and was the only hallowed spirit in the chaos, it was evident how terrifying his strength was. The respectful title of Hallowed Lord further highlighted Lin Feng's current identity and status. Snatching the chaotic origin stone from Lin Feng was extremely dangerous. However, even if there was extreme danger, they still could not resist the temptation of the chaotic origin stone. There were some things that had to be done. They could die without regrets. The chaotic origin stone was an opportunity to attain the principle of cultivation. They would not hesitate even if they died. Your Majesty, the ancestral dragon, the chaotic origin stone has appeared. Aren't chaotic divine beasts like us supposed to fight for it? The 6 chaotic hallowed beasts were all gathered now. Although the 6 chaotic hallowed beasts usually did not get along, they all knew their priorities when facing a major event like the appearance of the chaotic origin stone. The ancestral dragon opened its huge, draconic eyes. It recalled Lin Feng's terrifying divine ability in the battle of the invasion of alien lifeforms. Even now, it still had lingering fears. We've already fought for the chaotic origin stone a few times, but we've failed every time. Do you know the reason? What other reason can there be? We chaotic divine beasts are not strong enough. The cultivators have the advantage in numbers, so it's naturally easy for them to obtain the chaotic origin stone. Moreover, those chaotic hallowed venerables won't allow your majesties to fight for it. Otherwise, no matter how many chaotic origin stones there are, we would have gotten all of them. However, the ancestral dragon shook his head and said, "Divine beasts like us do not comprehend the rules since birth. Although we are compatible with the rules ourselves, we will never become chaotic hallowed venerables. Did you think we lost the competition the previous few times because there are too many cultivators? In reality, that's not the case. How could those chaotic hallowed venerables allow the chaotic divine beast lineages to obtain the chaotic origin stone? Your Majesty, the ancestral dragon, do you mean to say that we shouldn't compete for it? But even those devils are planning to compete for it. Stop competing. We divine beasts will stop competing. The devils are competing because they have confidence. They have something on the hallowed venerables. What can we do? The chaotic hallowed venerables drove the 9-headed Taotai away. So what if we're hallowed beasts? We're different from those devils. We're far inferior to those devils, even. Let's stop competing and let them fight. Moreover, that hallowed lord is not so easy to deal with. A trace of helplessness appeared in the ancestral dragon's eyes. Then he closed his eyes and stopped talking. The other chaotic hallowed beasts also left one after another. Some chaotic divine beasts were unwilling, but the chaotic hallowed beasts could not care less. If they were unwilling, so be it. After so many years, the line of chaotic divine beasts had already grown cowardly. They had to accept the reality. After all, there was not a single chaotic hallowed venerable among the chaotic divine beasts. The Abyss City was established in the chaotic void. It was built by the king of deception, Andre, with supreme methods. It looked like a war fortress, sinister and terrifying. Looking at it from afar, it was daunting. However, devils were constantly entering and exiting the Abyss City. Ever since Abyss City was established, and the devils gained a foothold in the chaos, they began to think about cultivation. The cultivation methods of the devils were very special. Without the Abyss, it would be very difficult for them to continue cultivating. Moreover, most of the devils enjoyed killing and fighting. They had constant friction with the cultivators in the chaos, but they were all limited to small-scale or individual fights. Both parties still restrained themselves. At this moment, the king of deception gathered the 6 greater devils under his command. You should have all heard that a chaotic origin stone has appeared in the chaos. It's with that cultivator called Lin Feng. The king of deception, Andre, said slowly. Your Majesty the Devil King, we've all heard of it. In the chaos, the chaotic origin stone is the true supreme treasure. It's the key to becoming a chaotic hallowed venerable. It should be similar to the heart of abyss in our abyss. Once one obtains the chaotic origin stone, they'd have a chance of becoming a chaotic hallowed venerable. Andre nodded and said, That's right. The chaotic origin stone is actually the heart of abyss. It's just that the name is different. There are a total of 9 chaotic origin stones in the chaos. Currently, 7 hallowed venerables have already consumed 7 chaotic origin stones. This is the 8th one now. There's not many chaotic origin stones left. Hence, we have to fight for this chaotic origin stone with all we can. Although we've signed an agreement with the chaos, the agreement is nothing. If we want to completely gain a foothold, we have to obtain the chaotic origin stone, and even become a chaotic hallowed venerable. Only then can our abyssal devils gain a foothold in the chaos and thrive. Your Majesty, will those chaotic hallowed venerables let us participate in the competition? After all, the chaotic origin stone is their holy relic. The devils were all filled with doubts. Indeed, the chaotic origin stone was a chaotic holy item. Everyone knew what obtaining the chaotic origin stone meant. How could those chaotic hallowed venerables not know? They definitely would not let the devils obtain the chaotic origin stone so easily. Don't worry. Even if those chaotic hallowed venerables want to stop us, I'm still here. You can fight for it without worries. Those hallowed venerables don't dare to fall out with us at all now. As long as we don't attack on a large scale, they will tolerate it. Hence, only 3 of the 6 greater devils need to be mobilized this time. Remember, do things in secret. When the chaotic origin stone appears, all the lifeforms in the chaos have to fight for it with their lives. You just have to wait for an opportunity. Understood. We will definitely seize the chaotic origin stone and offer it to His Majesty the Devil King. Hence, with a flash, the 3 greater devils flew out of Abyss City. In the holy city Styx, perfected deity Eventide knelt in front of hallowed venerable Styx. Hallowed venerable Perfected deity Eventide was about to say something but hesitated. However, she bit his lip, and a trace of stubbornness and indignation appeared in her eyes. Actually, it was not just Eventide. Many disciples of hallowed venerable Styx had rushed back one by one and knelt in front of hallowed venerable Styx. Alas! Hallowed venerable Styx heaved a long sigh and said, I know what you want to do, the chaotic origin stone, right? However, you have to know that every competition for the chaotic origin stone has been extremely dangerous. Top-notch perfected deities fell every time. This time, it's even harder, because the chaotic origin stone is in Lin Feng's possession. He's the only hallowed lord in the chaos. At the mention of Lin Feng and the hallowed lord, the eyes of hallowed venerable Styx's disciples dimmed, but the stubbornness in their eyes intensified. Even if he's the hallowed lord, he'd struggle against many enemies. We're not the only ones who have their eyes on the chaotic origin stone. The forces of the entire chaos are focused on him. A man's wealth would lead to his own ruin. The chaotic origin stone is his original sin. It would be fine if he kept hiding in the holy city of chaos, but once he comes out, we can't miss this opportunity. Hallowed Venerable, please understand. Hallowed Venerable Styx looked at the disciples under his command. These disciples had all followed him for a long time. Some disciples were dead, and some disciples were still around. His favorite disciple, perfected deity Easterly, was also dead. Forget it. Forget it. Go. I'll bestow you with the demon-subduing ring. Even chaotic hallowed beasts can be confined for a while. Whether you can obtain the chaotic origin stone will depend on your own luck. Thank you, hallowed venerable. The disciples were overjoyed. Hadn't they knelt in front of hallowed venerable Styx precisely for this chaotic supreme treasure? Being able to trap the chaotic hallowed beast for a while was enough to show how formidable it was. At the same time, the disciples of hallowed venerable Prima Mobile, hallowed venerable Luster, the disciples or descendants of the other hallowed venerables, and so on all used various methods to plead with the hallowed venerables to bestow some treasures to them. The chaotic origin stone tugged at the hearts of all the chaotic cultivators. For a few times in the past, battles had occurred. It was said that the chaotic origin stone had appeared. They resulted in heavy casualties, but in the end, it was found that the news was fake. There was no chaotic origin stone at all. Even fake news was enough to make many perfected deities fight to the death. Moreover, all the perfected deities had sensed the aura of the chaotic origin stone this time. Even the chaotic hallowed venerables were certain that it was the 8th chaotic origin stone. In the holy city Prima Mobile, Lin Feng was not even in seclusion. He had also studied the supreme rule in the chaotic origin stone. It was indeed very profound, but it was not impossible to understand. In the past, Lin Feng had wondered if this was fate that the chaotic origin stone had fallen into his possession. He should be the 8th chaotic hallowed venerable. But now he was not so sure. This was because he could not comprehend the supreme rule. In other words, even if he had not given up on the chaotic origin stone and on becoming a chaotic hallowed venerable, and instead devoted himself to cultivating the supreme rule, he still would not be able to comprehend it. This supreme rule seemed to be tailor-made for a certain individual. If one was not meant to comprehend it, they could not. Perhaps there were other ways, but at least Lin Feng had no way. This meant that the 8th chaotic hallowed venerable was not Lin Feng. However, this did not mean that Lin Feng would give up the chaotic origin stone. Even if he was not the 8th hallowed venerable, he had to select the 8th chaotic hallowed venerable. If he did not give it away, others could not snatch it. Only by giving it away himself could an 8th chaotic hallowed venerable be born. At Lin Feng's level, he could do whatever he wanted, and no longer had to worry about the outside world. Alliance leader, there has been many turmoils outside recently. Some old perfected deities, entities even older than chaotic hallowed venerables, have already awakened one after another. There's also the lineages of chaotic divine beasts. They're also eyeing us. Even the devils are up to something, and fanning the flames in the dark. I heard that even the disciples of the hallowed venerables can't hold it in anymore. Alliance leader, just stay in the holy city of chaos. As long as you're in the holy city of chaos, no matter how many people gather outside, they can't do anything to you. Yuan Zhengang and the other core members of the Mutual Assistance Alliance were both excited and worried. A storm was brewing in the outside world, and the power gathered simply made their hearts palpitate. Even if the Alliance leader was the only hallowed spirit in the chaos, and was revered as the hallowed lord, they were still worried. The temptation of the chaotic origin stone was difficult to resist. They only hoped that Lin Feng could comprehend the supreme rule as soon as possible and become a chaotic hallowed venerable. Then, he would naturally be able to sweep through all other forces, and all threats would disappear. Lin Feng sat at the head of the table. Hearing that so many factions and forces had gathered to covet the chaotic origin stone, he was elated rather than afraid. He smiled and said, "After waiting for so long, everyone who should come should have already arrived. I'll go out and deal with those ruffians, and show that I live up to my reputation as the hallowed lord." "What? Alliance leader, you can't. Even if you're unparalleled, there's no need for you to take the risk." That's right. You just need to stay in the holy city of chaos, comprehend the supreme rule, and become a chaotic hallowed venerable. Why do you have to do this and invite more trouble? They did not understand Lin Feng's current actions. He could have stayed in the holy city and waited until he comprehended the supreme rule. Why would he take the risk? But Lin Feng could not possibly say that he could not comprehend the supreme rule at all, and could not become a hallowed venerable. Moreover, his path was not the path of a chaotic hallowed venerable. The chaotic origin stone was useless to him. Even though these were all facts, Lin Feng could not say them. Do you think they can't do anything if I never go out? What about the Mutual Assistance Alliance? We can disperse the members of the Mutual Assistance Alliance. What about the Inception continent? We'll give up on the Inception continent. Then what about the Origin universe? Should we give that up too? Everyone looked at each other. That's right. The Mutual Assistance Alliance could be dispersed, and the Inception continent could be given up, but what about the Origin universe? Should Lin Feng give up the Origin universe too? Yuan Zhenggang was about to suggest that Lin Feng give up on the Origin universe as well. In any case, Lin Feng's closest family was in the Holy City. However, Perfected Lord Long shook his head. He knew Lin Feng very well. Giving up on the Origin universe was not something Lin Feng was capable of. The reason they haven't attacked the Inception continent or the Origin universe yet is that they want to force me to go out by myself. If I don't go out, they'll start attacking. It's not just the Origin universe, nor the Inception continent. They'll target every member of the Mutual Assistance Alliance. Even you will be in serious danger, unless you never leave the Holy City of Chaos either. Perfected Lord Long and Yuan Zhenggang both opened their mouths, but did not say anything in the end. The temptation of the chaotic origin stone exceeded ordinary people's imagination. At that time, those old perfected deities would not care that Lin Feng was the hallowed lord. They would not care if Lin Feng would settle scores with them in the future. They would do everything they could to force Lin Feng to leave the Holy City of Chaos, regardless of the price. Lin Feng had to go out, and this battle was unavoidable. Alliance leader, hallowed lord, you are our hope. How could Perfected Lord Long and Yuan Zhenggang not know that Lin Feng had made up his mind? However, in the face of such a matter, the Mutual Assistance Alliance, which they so took pride in, had become Lin Feng's burden, and could not help him at all. Lin Feng stood up. His originally thin body appeared sturdy as a mountain now. Lin Feng stared at the chaotic void and stood with his hands behind his back. He said calmly, "Don't worry. Although they gave me the title of Hallowed Lord, they still don't know the might of a Hallowed Lord. In this battle, I will let them and the entire chaos know the might of a Hallowed Lord. I am the Hallowed Lord, and shall dominate an era." With that, Lin Feng stepped forward and walked towards the chaotic void. In the chaotic void, a spaceship was slowly advancing. There were only some chaotic merchants inside. They were all perfected lords who were preparing to head to the Holy City Primum Mobile to purchase some supplies. That's the Holy City Primum Mobile. We've finally arrived at the Holy City Primum Mobile. After purchasing the supplies this time, we can return to the chaotic continent quickly. We might be able to make another huge profit. The chaos is really dangerous. It'll be much safer once we reach the Holy City. These chaotic merchants were all overjoyed. Even with a perfected lord as the leader, it was still rather dangerous to trade in the chaos. If they were not careful, they might all be annihilated. Buzz. Suddenly, the chaotic perfected lords in the spaceship saw a faint figure walking in the chaotic void from the Holy City Primum Mobile. Although he was only walking, every step he took was faster than the chaotic spaceship. Who's that? What a terrifying aura! Could it be a chaotic perfected deity? At the thought of the chaotic perfected deity, the perfected lords on this chaotic spaceship held their breaths and focused. They had never seen a perfected deity before. Although there were many perfected deities in the holy cities, they all lived in seclusion and rarely appeared in sight. As the mysterious perfected deity arrived in front of the chaotic spaceship step by step, everyone in the chaotic spaceship paid their respects to the perfected deity, not daring to slight him at all. Lin Feng stopped in front of the chaotic spaceship for a moment, then sent a voice transmission, "Hurry up and leave. This is a place of conflict. If you don't leave quickly, you won't be able to." "Huh? Perfected deity? What do you mean?" Many perfected lords in the chaotic spaceship were still slightly stunned, not knowing what he meant. Lin Feng was just giving a casual reminder. Whether they listened or not would depend on the luck of these chaotic merchants. Suddenly, the expression of a perfected lord in the chaotic spaceship changed. He hurriedly shouted, "Go, go! Escape into the Holy City Primum Mobile as fast as possible. Quick, Buzz!" However, no matter how fast the chaotic spaceship reacted, it was too late. Traces of ripples suddenly appeared in the huge chaotic void. They were like intertwined threads that pierced through the void for billions of miles. Crack! After being pierced by these threads, the durable chaotic spaceship was instantly severed into a few pieces. Even the few chaotic perfected lords in the chaotic spaceship were reduced to ashes. Their perfected spirits flew towards the depths of the chaos to reincarnate. An undeserved calamity. This was a true undeserved calamity. Similar to these chaotic merchants, there were still many cultivators who had encountered undeserved calamities. Within a radius of billions of miles, many cultivators were killed by these seemingly harmless threads. These were not threads, but a top-notch divine array. Even a top-notch perfected deity would be ripped apart by this terrifying divine array. Lin Feng stood in the void. He had already used the spirit flame-hallowed body. His body was burning with flames. No matter how strong these threads were, they could not injure him at all. Lin Feng stood with his hands behind his back and looked in a certain direction in the void. He said indifferently, "You've waited for so long. Come out." His voice echoed in the void and spread into the distance. Swoosh! As expected, spatial ripples kept flickering in the void. A few figures suddenly walked out. The auras on all of them were top-notch perfected deities, and they were incomparably ancient and vast. Ha! As expected of the only hallowed lord in chaos. Hallowed lord, we have been waiting for you for a long time. An old man with white hair and beard slowly walked out of the void. Behind him were 4 perfected deities. They were also top-notch perfected deities and followed suit. They appeared very respectful towards the old man. Lin Feng's eyes narrowed slightly. He did not even look at the 4 top-notch perfected deities. But this old man with white hair and beard appeared unfathomable, even more terrifying than the disciples of those hallowed venerables. "Who are you? State your name." Lin Feng spread his hand, as if he were the owner of this place. His demeanor did not falter. "Ha!" The old man's gaze focused, but the 4 top-notch perfected deities behind him shouted, "Impudence! The ancestor has arrived." Yet Lin Feng is still so arrogant. That's right. Ancestor Mani was famed in the primordial era, even older than the 7 chaotic hallowed venerables. Even the hallowed venerables have to call him ancestor. How dare a junior like you disrespect him? Hearing this, Lin Feng nodded and said, "So it's Ancestor Mani. Excuse my disrespect. It's rumored that Ancestor was a famous figure in the primordial era, one of the oldest entities in the chaos. Why would you want to get involved in this mess? The body that you have cultivated for billions of years might be lost. When that happens and your perfected spirit is destroyed, wouldn't it be too late for regrets?" Lin Feng did not stand on ceremony at all. So what if it was Ancestor Mani? He was just an ancient perfected deity. So what if his seniority was high? In the chaos, the strong were respected, and the accomplished came first. Even if this Ancestor Mani saw the chaotic hallowed venerables, he had to address them respectfully as hallowed venerables. This old fogey actually dared to parade his seniority before Lin Feng and call himself an ancestor. Lin Feng would not be polite. "How dare you be disrespectful to the ancestor? You..." The 4 top-notch perfected deities behind Ancestor Mani were about to berate him, when Lin Feng's eyes suddenly focused. It was as if infinite flames filled the air. Raging flames appeared on the top-notch perfected deity's body at once, burning wildly. "Ah! What is this? Ancestor, save me!" Flames filled the void. The esteemed top-notch perfected deity was burned to ashes in the blink of an eye, but even Ancestor Mani couldn't do anything. "Lin Feng, you..." Ancestor Mani was furious, but he became even more wary. A dignified top-notch perfected deity had actually fallen with just a glance from Lin Feng. This capability was even more terrifying than what the rumors claimed. Lin Feng stood with his hands behind his back, as if he was used to it. He said calmly, "How can anyone interrupt when I'm talking to Ancestor? It's just a minor punishment." I didn't expect that he couldn't even withstand a mere wisp of my chaotic spirit flames. Where has billions of years of cultivation gone to? Lin Feng shook his head, as if he was actually rather regretful. "You..." Ancestor Mani's eyes widened in anger. He was incomparably furious. Just now, his follower's body had been ignited with dozens of chaotic spirit flames. How could it be just a wisp of chaotic spirit flames? He had even asked, where has billions of years of cultivation gone to, which was clearly twisting logic. However, this glance from Lin Feng made the hearts of the surrounding cultivators hiding in the dark or in the open palpitate. This was not an ordinary siege. The one they wanted to surround and kill was the only hallowed spirit of chaos, Lin Feng, who was venerated as the Hallowed Lord. The Hallowed Lord would dominate an era. Even Ancestor Mani had no choice but to address him respectfully as Hallowed Lord. Hallowed Lord, you are indeed powerful. I'm convinced. However, Hallowed Lord, did you expect any friends to visit when you stepped out of the holy city today? Ancestor Mani gave a half-smile. He looked kindly, but in reality, there was no knowing how many lethal moves he's preparing behind the treacherous smile. As long as he found Lin Feng's weakness, he would definitely show no mercy and kill Lin Feng with a single strike. Looking at Ancestor Mani's smiling face, Lin Feng remained indifferent. Who else wants to die? Come out together, Lin Feng said indifferently. He even pressed down with his empty hand. Buzz. The void shattered, and those experts could no longer conceal themselves. Gore! There was an earth-shattering roar. The massive bodies of chaotic divine beasts with extremely powerful auras stretched across the void, glaring menacingly at Lin Feng. There was a distance between them and other cultivators, and they seemed to form their own faction. Chaotic divine beasts? And with the bloodline of a hallowed beast at that. You're also courting death. Even if I give this chaotic origin stone to you, can you comprehend it? Lin Feng shook his head. Since these chaotic divine beasts had come to die, he would not stop them. Although the chaotic divine beasts were very displeased with Lin Feng's contempt towards them, Lin Feng was now famous as a hallowed lord, and had the same status as their ancestors. Hence, they could only conceal their discontent and glare at Lin Feng menacingly. There are more? Come out together. Lin Feng looked in another direction. Buzz. Spatial ripples appeared in the void. Right on the heels of that, figures leaped out of space one after another. They were old acquaintances. At least they had met once before. Perfected deity even-eyed. I didn't expect you to come as well. You're interested in the chaotic origin stone too? That's right. You're all both top-notch perfected deities. How can you resist the temptation of the chaotic origin stone? However, the battlefield is merciless. If we fight, I won't hold back. Lin Feng shook his head. Perfected deity Eventide's expression was very complicated. She looked at Lin Feng, as if she was seeing the proud perfected deity Easterly back then. However, even she had to admit that even if perfected deity Easterly was resurrected, he'd be far inferior to Lin Feng. Hallowed Lord, your ability to condense the ultimate divine ability can be considered unprecedented, and probably will remain unparalleled in the future. Even the resurrection of Senior Easterly cannot compare to your aptitude. However, the chaotic origin stone is an opportunity to attain the principle. Even if I have to fight to the death, I will give it my all. Is that so? And perfected deity Ziji? Is it the same for you? Perfected deity Ziji nodded and said, That's right, hallowed lord. As a hallowed lord, there's no harm in letting go of the chaotic origin stone. Now our lineup is so powerful. Even a chaotic hallowed beast probably won't be able to leave without trouble. You're the only hallowed lord among us cultivators. You do not need to fall here. Perfected deity Ziji's expression was also very complicated. In the beginning, these hallowed venerable disciples were disdainful, envious, and jealous of Lin Feng. But now, they addressed Lin Feng respectfully as hallowed lord. They were undoubtedly convinced by his capability. It had to be known that the title of Hallowed Lord was second only to the Hallowed Venerable. This title of Hallowed Lord represented status and respect. Even though all the cultivators present coveted the chaotic origin stone in Lin Feng's possession, they still respected Lin Feng, the Hallowed Lord, immensely. This was unlike the chaotic divine beasts. Those chaotic divine beasts even wanted to kill Lin Feng, the Hallowed Lord among cultivators, while fighting for the chaotic origin stone. Forget it. Forget it. There's no knowing how many perfected deities' lives would be lost when it comes to an opportunity to attain the principle. It's just that when fighting, you should know when to advance and when to retreat. I won't hold back. However, before fighting, some people should come out sooner. Don't think it's so easy to sit back and reap the benefits after others have fought. Lin Feng extended his hand and pressed down. Boom! The void suddenly shook. The chaotic space stretched for tens of thousands of kilometers and actually shattered completely. 3 faintly discernible bodies actually concealed all their auras, so that even the perfected deities did not notice them. Devils! And they're greater devils. 3 greater devils are hiding behind us. Heh! Trying to reap the benefits of our dispute. Even the devils are participating. They've just gained a foothold in the chaos, and they're already plotting to seize the chaotic origin stone. Even chaotic divine beasts had a natural sense of repulsion towards devils. After all, the demons were not chaotic life forms. Moreover, in the last battle, both perfected deities and chaotic divine beasts had suffered casualties. Naturally, they did not have a good impression of the devils. Heh! Cultivators and chaotic divine beasts. Everyone wants to fight for the chaotic origin stone, but against this hallowed lord second only to the hallowed venerables, it's extremely difficult for you to obtain it alone. Why don't we work together and deal with this hallowed lord first before fighting for the chaotic origin stone? These 3 greater devils were all incomparably cunning, and naturally knew how to divide and conquer. In their eyes, Lin Feng was undoubtedly the greatest threat. As long as they dealt with Lin Feng first, with their strength as greater devils, their chances of obtaining the chaotic origin stone would undoubtedly be much higher. Humph, what a good plan. Why don't we let the hallowed lord deal with you first? No matter what, the chaotic origin stone can't fall into the hands of devils like you. Some chaotic perfected deities smiled coldly. Lin Feng took a look and realized that these greater devils had no intention of attacking first. The other chaotic perfected deities also had no intention of dealing with the greater devils first. This situation was already clear. The 2 parties were using each other. For the sake of the chaotic origin stone, any hatred or disagreements could be put aside for the time being. Lin Feng lamented again at how tempting the opportunity to attain the principle was. No wonder every time the chaotic origin stone appeared, it would cause a bloodbath. It was not an exaggeration. Lin Feng stood tall in the chaotic void, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll. It was as if he was completely unaware of the danger and hopelessness he was in. As for everyone else, be it the chaotic perfected deity, the chaotic divine beasts, or even the greater devils, none of them had any intention of attacking first. For a moment, the scene was in a strange stalemate. Rumble. In the distant chaotic void, hallowed venerable Prima Mobile and hallowed venerable Styx were about to make a move when they were stopped by the king of deception, Andre. Where are the 2 hallowed venerables going? Andre said with a half-smile. Andre, the chaotic origin stone is a supreme treasure of chaos. The opportunity to attain the principle is not something abyssal devils like you can touch. Hallowed venerable Styx naturally wanted to eliminate the 3 greater devils. Oh? The chaotic origin stone is an opportunity to attain the principle. Why can't we abyssal devils have it? Hallowed venerables, since we abyssal devils have already entered the chaos, we are a part of the chaos. There's no reason why life forms in the chaos like you can fight for it, but we devils can't. Moreover, I followed the rules of the chaos and didn't attack, right? Andre, you've got a good plan. Although you didn't attack, you mobilized a greater devil, which is comparable to a chaotic hallowed beast. Even the chaotic hallowed beasts were warned not to fight for the chaotic origin stone. Oh? That's too unfortunate. I've just arrived, and am still a little unfamiliar with the agreement between the hallowed venerables. I definitely won't make such a mistake again next time. Andre's words made the 2 hallowed venerables incomparably furious. For a moment, thunder rumbled in the chaotic void, as if the entire chaos was in turmoil. However, Andre did not move at all. He just stood calmly in the void. After a long while, the 2 hallowed venerables looked at each other and said in a low voice, "Forget it, Andre. This is your last warning. No matter what, you can't interfere. Otherwise, even if your location is exposed and the celestial devils are attracted, We will definitely annihilate your abyssal clan." With that, the two hallowed venerables disappeared. Undoubtedly, they've tacitly agreed to the actions of the devils this time. A smile appeared on Andre's lips, but there was a faint trace of worry in his eyes. The chaotic origin stone. Only by becoming a hallowed venerable, and completely becoming a part of the chaos, can we gain a foothold in the chaos. Without the abyss, we are all wanderers, Andre muttered softly. Even he, the Devil King, could not tolerate the days of wandering. Hence, Andre had to gain a foothold in the chaos at all costs, and completely integrate into it. Are we just going to let it be? In the secret chamber of the Holy City, hallowed Venerable Prima Mobile and hallowed Venerable Styx's expressions were dark. Clearly, the matter had already exceeded their control. What else can we do? It's an opportunity to attain the principle. All the perfected deities are going insane over it. Even with our authority as hallowed venerables, how can we suppress it? Think about what it was like when we fought for the chaotic origin stone back then. Moreover, among the many perfected deities fighting for the chaotic origin stone, there are also your disciples and mine. Hallowed Venerable Styx's words made hallowed Venerable Primum Mobile fall silent as well. It was not just the disciples of the two hallowed venerables. The family and friends or disciples of the other 5 hallowed venerables were also participating in the competition for the chaotic origin stone. What a pity about Lin Feng. He's the only hallowed spirit in the chaos. He's even more outstanding than Easterly. Hallowed Venerable Styx seemed to see the shadow of perfected deity Easterly in Lin Feng back then. He was even more outstanding than perfected deity Easterly. Every time the chaotic origin stone appears, the chaos would be plunged into earth-shattering turmoil. However, the candidate for the hallowed venerable is actually already predestined. No one can take it away. Just wait and see. Perhaps the hallowed venerable will appear soon. Every hallowed venerable has experienced endless hardships step by step. If Lin Feng is really the predestined hallowed venerable, no matter how dangerous the situation is, it can be resolved. If not, forget about everything. The two chaotic hallowed venerables had already made up their minds not to interfere, and would only pay attention silently. An image appeared in front of them. It was the scene of Lin Feng being surrounded in the chaotic void. At this moment, countless people were paying attention to this battle. The news had already spread throughout the 7 holy cities. Hallowed Lord Lin Feng had left the holy city of chaos. Moreover, as soon as he left, he was surrounded by many experts. A shocking battle was definitely imminent. This battle might be able to determine the 8th hallowed venerable. This was because in the past, although there had also been a bloodbath when the chaotic origin stone appeared, chaotic hallowed venerables would soon appear and stand at the peak of the chaos. Ordinary perfected deities could not interfere in such a battle at all. Only top-notch perfected deities were qualified to participate. However, this did not mean that no one was paying attention. Even ordinary perfected deities were paying attention. After all, there was no difference in realm between ordinary perfected deities and top-notch perfected deities. They also yearned to obtain the chaotic origin stone. If they were compatible with the supreme rule, they could also become great, undying, and indestructible chaotic hallowed venerables. Hence, the perfected deities learned about and paid attention to this great battle through various channels. Alliance leader is still a little careless. I didn't expect even those devils to interfere. How shameless! There's also perfected deity Eventide. She even met the alliance leader once back then. How can she be so shameless? There are also some top-notch perfected deities. Their virtue is unworthy of their status. They are even willing to join forces with the chaotic divine beasts and the devils to deal with the alliance leader. How despicable! The people of the Mutual Assistance Alliance were all filled with righteous indignation. Looking at the figures surrounding Lin Feng, they were inexplicably angered and saddened. Every figure was famous in the chaos. They were definitely not as simple as ordinary top-notch perfected deities. Even the top-notch perfected deity that Lin Feng killed with a glance was actually famed. He had cultivated for billions of years. If he appeared alone, he would be a major figure who would shake the chaos. No one who could participate in this battle was a nobody. They were all famous hegemons or ancient entities. Many perfected deities were paying attention to this battle. Some were worried, while others were naturally happy. Those who did not get along with Lin Feng and the Mutual Assistance Alliance were incomparably happy. For example, the last time perfected deity Infinity saw Lin Feng display his prowess and condense the ultimate divine ability, he was almost in despair. However, later on, when Lin Feng exposed the chaotic origin stone, not only was he envious, he was also incomparably happy. However, later on, Lin Feng kept staying in the holy city of chaos. Perfected deity Infinity was really worried that Lin Feng would comprehend the supreme rule and become a chaotic hallowed venerable. Then he would really be dead. Fortunately, Lin Feng exited the holy city of chaos now that he was surrounded and attacked by so many experts. No matter how strong Lin Feng was, could he escape? Hence, perfected deity Infinity was also paying close attention to the development of the situation. Even if he did not have the chance to obtain the chaotic origin stone, he would not pass on any news regarding Lin Feng. In the chaotic void, Lin Feng did not care about the commotion outside at all. He had waited for so long. Those who should have come had all arrived, and so had those who should not have come. It seemed like the temptation of the chaotic origin stone was indeed considerable. Lin Feng had underestimated the temptation of the chaotic origin stone. However, he was a hallowed lord who could dominate an era. No matter how many came, he was ready. All of you attack together. Once you attack, any friendship in the past would be forsaken. Even if you are the disciple of a hallowed venerable, even if you are the descendant of a hallowed beast, even if you had some connection with me back then, it will all be for naught. On the battlefield, those who attack me can only be enemies. Lin Feng stood with his hands behind his back in the chaotic void, showing his bearing as a hallowed lord. Even Lin Feng's enemies could not help but exclaim inwardly, as expected of the hallowed lord. With such bearing, even a top-notch perfected deity was far inferior. Lin Feng stood in the void. As soon as he finished speaking, no one dared to attack. If you don't dare to attack, I'll do it. Devils, life forms from another world, how dare you covet the supreme treasure of chaos? You deserve to die. Boom. Lin Feng made his move. He grabbed with his hand, and his arms stretched for thousands of kilometers, forming a huge flaming palm that grabbed towards the three greater devils. Ha! The three greater devils did not expect Lin Feng to dare to take the initiative to attack. However, Lin Feng had only used the spirit flame hallowed body. The three greater devils were not afraid. Hence, perfected deities appeared among the greater devils. All of them had sinister expressions and ugly appearances. They emitted the aura of the abyss, as if a hole had been torn open in the entire chaos. Boom! With this head-on clash, the flames that filled the air scattered in all directions. Lin Feng's large hand shattered with a bang, turning into specks of flames. However, in an instant, Lin Feng's flames condensed again. Prime Realm! Lin Feng shouted in a low voice. He had only used a portion of the Prime Realm divine ability, not even 1/10 of its power. However, even if it was only 1/10, the power that erupted instantly was unimaginable, simply earth-shattering. After all, Lin Feng's internal universe had improved countless times after the last battle between lifeforms in the other world. The Prime Realm divine ability was basically about the internal universe. The more it expanded, the more terrifying its power would be. At this moment, the Prime Realm divine ability was no longer the ultimate divine ability. Instead, it had reached an indescribably terrifying level above the ultimate divine ability. Thump! Lin Feng's large hand had already grabbed a devil. The moment Lin Feng grabbed the incomparably sinister and terrifying greater devil, a trace of fear actually appeared on his face. As Lin Feng clenched his hand, the greater devil's body was instantly reduced to dust, leaving only a diabolic pneuma in Lin Feng's hand. The dignified greater devil, an entity comparable to a chaotic hallowed beast in the abyss, was instantly crushed like a chick in front of Lin Feng. The power of a hallowed lord was daunting as thus.